Hey guys, this is Anne Marie with Sifted Savannah Bakery, and today I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful flower out of rice or spring roll paper. So let's get started. So the first thing you'll need is some spring roll paper or rice paper. You can get that at any Asian grocery store or on Amazon. A large leaf cutter, some floral wire, this is 20 gauge. You'll need a pan with warm water, some scissors, and then I use Americolor Airbrush gel in violet. There are two sides to the spring roll paper. There's a shiny side and a matte side. You want to trace your leaf cutter on the matte side. It'll be easier to see when you're ready to cut it out. You'll notice in the video that I'm actually tracing on the shiny side, so please don't make that mistake. Because I know that this is just for tutorial purposes, I'm using a pencil. You can use an edible marker if you want to, or if you know that it is not going to be eaten, then you can use a pencil as well. I would suggest cutting out your petal in small sections or making small cuts, because when the rice paper is dry, it is brittle, especially when you're going around the round part of the petal, so that way your rice paper won't break. You will need 2 of these to make each petal of your flower. I'm going to make a 5-petal flower, so I'll need a total of 10 of these. For the process to go a little bit faster, I'll stack 2 rice paper sheets on top of each other and trace my remaining petals and cut them out. If you're having to make a whole bunch of flowers, I still would probably only stack 2 rice paper sheets and cut them out at a time, because they are kind of thick, and I'm afraid if you do more than just 2 sheets, you might accidentally break them as you're cutting them out. Once I have all of my 10 petals cut out, I'm going to color my water. Again, I'm using Americolor, but I'm using the Airbrush color. You can use any kind of liquid food coloring from your local grocery store if you want to. Give that a good stir, mix it up really well. I think I add a little bit more because I really wanted that pretty purple to really show, so I'm probably going to add just a little bit more here. Give it a good stir. And then you're going to soak your petals in the water for about anywhere 15 to 20 seconds. You may have to soak your petals a little bit longer depending on the temperature of your water. Mine had already gotten cold, so they had to sit a little bit longer. I find that if you soak them in warmer water, they tend to get softer faster. After the rice paper has softened, you're going to take the petals out of the water, lay one flat on your silicone mat, and then you're going to place the floral wire on top of that and take the second petal and place it on top of the wire. Then you're going to bend and shape and fold the petal to give it a little bit of dimension. After doing it this way, I did find that my wire moved around a lot when I was bending and folding and shaping the petal. So I did end up taking the floral wire out and then sticking it back in once I have shaped my petal the way I liked it. The rice paper is really slippery once it's wet, so you saw how it just like slipped right out when I was trying to move my petal. So here I am, I'm just folding it and shaping it and bending it like I was saying, putting a little bit of curves in there, and then once I like the way it looks, then I'm going to put that wire back in between the two petals, and then when it dries, that wire will be stuck in there. So now I'm going to soak the remaining petals in the water, place them on the silicone mat, and then bend them and shape them the way I want to. After they're all placed on the silicone mat, I'm going to place the mat on top of a baking sheet that is upside down. And then I'm actually going to bend and fold the silicone mat itself to give the petals some more curve. While the petals are drying in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and start making the center of my flower. So I'm going to take some floral wire, and with my needle nose pliers, I'm going to go ahead and bend it and make a loop on one end. I'm going to take a little bit of white gum paste, and I'm going to make a small cone for the center of my flower. After that, I'll insert the wire into the fatter end of the cone. So I'm going to set the center of my flower to the side so it can dry, and then I'm going to start making the stamens. So I'll take 5 of them, and then I will fold them in half and twist another floral wire around them to keep them tight. To secure it all together, I'm going to wrap some floral tape around it to keep it nice and tight. I normally would have used white floral tape, but all I had with me today was the green. I'm going to make 2 more for this flower to give me a total of 3 all together. So now I'm going to go back to that cone that I made for the center of the flower, and I'm just going to take some tiny sharp scissors and begin just snipping just a little bit of that cone to kind of give it more of a realistic effect. When you're done, it should look kind of like a pine cone. Alright, now that my petals have dried and cooled off, you can see how nice and hard they are. So now we can start building our flower. So I'm going to take my center that I made, take my needle nose pliers, grab one of the petals, and then kind of slightly bend that wire so that way we can attach it to the center. But before we do that, we need to take our 3 stamens and we need to attach them to this little cone that we made to really build up the center of our flower. So I'm just going to wrap them around like this, take my floral tape, and then secure it all together. Alright, once I've got that made, I'm going to take each petal one by one, and then I'm going to wrap it around the center of my flower and start building my flower. I've bent this one too much, so I have to bend it back. Then I'll take my floral tape and secure it in place. This is one of the extra petals that I made, and in order to glue the floral wire on there, you can just take some clear isomalt, melt it, and glue the wire on the petal. Since I knew that this wasn't going to be on a real cake, I just used a low heat hot glue gun and stuck my wire on there like that. I used the other 2 extra petals that I had made and put them in the center of the flower to make it a little bit fuller and to hide that green floral tape so you can't see it. Again, I use hot glue, but if you were going to use this or put this on a real cake, then I would use melted clear isomalt. Once you've positioned all your petals how you like them and where they need to be, then you're just going to wrap your green floral tape all the way down to the end of the wire. After that, move and adjust your petals until you're happy with the way your flower looks. Now I'm going to add a little bit of gold to my flower. So this is gold powdered luster dust from Evil Cake Genius. I love how bright and metallic it looks. It's mixed with a little bit of vodka. So I'm just going to paint the very center of my flower, being careful not to touch the stamens. And then I'm also going to paint the edge of each petal a little bit of gold too. And there you go, you have a beautiful flower made out of rice or spring roll paper. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment. You can also follow me on Facebook or Instagram. The link is in the description below. Thanks guys, see you next time.